Because, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, just me being here, I'm not completely changed. You see what I'm saying? I'm not completely, but I'm working on it and I'm starting to recognize why I did all that, why I had a desire for it. You know what I mean?
About half of all female Oklahoma prisoners are drug offenders. Drugs are by far the biggest reason that women get thrown into prison in this state. They're also very likely to reoffend because their crime is rooted in addiction. About 65% of women in Oklahoma prisons are in need of drug treatment. At the end of 2010, almost 3/4 of the women leaving prison had not received adequate treatment, which means they're much more likely to go back to their old ways.
If I would have went to prison and just got out, I would have learned in prison how to do it better next time. Next time I go to shoplift, I would have learned how to do it better. You know, or next time, you know, in prison, you learn how to pass your UAs. You learn how to still do your drugs, and you learn how to drink bleach before you go to pee in that cup.
If there's no real interaction in connection with only having discipline happen, then I believe that that's a failure. There's nothing that happens beyond getting out. You know, quite a few women get out, they get jobs, but they can't keep those jobs.
When a woman gets toward the end of her prison sentence, if she's willing and lucky enough, she can get accepted into a program like Centerpoint in Tulsa.
And in this particular case, these women are in the Department of Corrections, which means that from an in-custody perspective, quite a few of the women, almost all of the women, have had substance abuse issues and have been arrested and gone to prison for those issues. One of the things I find about a lot of women here is that their concept of who they are and what they're about is a trauma that happens with, I'm doing time, you know, and I just want to get this over with, or I want the GPS, or I want probation, rather than skills and future and, you know, planning and whole change of the spirit.
At Centerpoint, women live in community dorms, go through group therapy and substance abuse treatment, and begin to look for jobs and plan a life outside the system.
It has, I feel like it would have saved taxpayers a lot of money. It would save my family a lot of heartache if I could have done this 20 years ago instead of coming now. I am 46 years old, and this is my 5th incarceration. I've got a 25-year history of drug abuse, and this is my first treatment center that I've had the opportunity to attend.
When you're in the system, there's so many of you, and there's so many problems that you're overlooked. Unless you're out there causing a ruckus, they're not going to pay attention to you. I think setting my want aside for what I need, and I have children too that deserve support, and but more than anything, they deserve a sober mother. So I'm just trying to gain all of that. I know that this is the best, so I can make it out there, so I can rise above.
You know, so this place, what this place didn't, basically, man, this didn't just show me so much. It didn't just really taught me who I am as a mother, everything, you know, and just, now I really realize that the stuff that I was out there doing, it was purposeless, you know. I didn't have to be.
All of those things, if they're not remedied while a person's incarcerated, same issues, you know, when the woman gets out of prison. She also has children typically to take care of. So now she has a hurdle of, she's a convicted felon, which makes it much more difficult to find employment, and much more difficult to find employment with a livable wage. Okay, because not only is she supporting herself, but she has to support her family. It's harder to get housing. In addition to that, she still has those needs. So she still has needs for substance abuse treatment. She still has needs for health care. She still has needs for mental health treatment. She still has needs for vocational training. She has fines, fees, and restitution to pay in connection with her felony conviction. All of those things present tremendous hurdles to someone reentering the community.
Centerpoint also allows women to be in contact with their families and children for weekend visits, something that has made a big difference in the path to recovery for these women. Megan Olmstead is a Centerpoint resident and the first person in Oklahoma to have her child live with her while still under DOC custody.
In my addiction, I just took too many things for granted, you know. I thought I was real smooth at everything I did, and when I bonded out of jail and I didn't have anything, I didn't have a home, I didn't have my kids, I was pregnant, I lost that baby, you know, I was just lost, you know. There was like, there's no point living if I didn't have my kids, so. They just decided that since I was working and, you know, I've done a complete change, that it was ready for my daughter to come live with me since this is, you know, living environment. I mean, I was in shock, I didn't know what to say. I think it's amazing. I think it's a miracle. I didn't think anything like this would happen. I feel more complete now that she's here with me, you know. When I'm done with my time, which will be in June, and I have my son back in my life, then, you know, I'll close this chapter of my life and move forward. I'm already moving forward, but I won't look back.
Centerpoint's daily cost is about equal to keeping a woman locked up in prison. But Centerpoint boasts a 0% recidivism rate. No one who has completed the program has ever gone back to prison. That could have saved someone like Alicia Williams 4 prison terms, and taxpayers a lot of money. But programs like Centerpoint are limited by their capacity. 2,760 women in prison. Half of them are nonviolent and eligible for a program like this. And Centerpoint has just 32 beds.
I'm very excited about the direction we are moving. I think there is a lot of traction around the issue. I think there is great interest in learning what's best in our community, what the evidence shows, what we can really do to improve the lives of women and children around the state.
I think we're absolutely on the right track. You know, as you mentioned, there's a tremendous amount of interest, I think, in alternatives to incarceration. There's also a tremendous amount of interest in the criminal justice system in the state of Oklahoma as a whole, and really to come up with the long-term solutions that I think we all would like to have and result in higher public safety, increased public safety at lower, you know, dollar cost. You really have to look at the entire criminal justice system. And so I really see, again, with Speaker Steele's leadership, and quite a bit of support from both houses, bipartisan support, that there's a lot of interest in looking at the entire criminal justice system as opposed to, you know, the small part that corrections plays.